the Caitlin Clark stimulus package, also known as the newly agreed upon CBA deal. Make no mistake about it, folks. Every time the owners came to the table and said, fine, we'll increase the salary cap to this, you can thank Caitlin Clark. Every time the owner said, fine, we'll pay for your housing again, you can thank Caitlin Clark. Every time the owner said, shoot, we really don't want to come up off this 15% number, but you know what? We'll move a little bit. You can thank CC20.
A'ja Wilson didn't see it coming. Nobody who has spent the last 2 years convincing themselves that the Caitlin Clark debate was overdone, that the fanfare was a media fabrication, that the ratings would ultimately fall, that this league had actual stars before Clark arrived, and that it would continue without all of this commotion. None of them expected this, because the WNBA had just ratified the most substantial collective bargaining deal in the history of professional women's basketball.
A'ja Wilson and all her Glazers could give a big thank you to Caitlin Clark for her getting paid. Ever since the league came to an agreement, all we've been hearing about is how A'ja Wilson is about to sign this historic Supermax deal like she just did it all on her own. No, you could thank Caitlin Clark for revolutionizing the game so you could get paid. We don't care how many MVPs and championships A'ja won or how she was already known. It doesn't matter. She didn't change the dynamic of the league for the players that get paid like this.
The salary cap increased from $1.5 million to $7 million. The average player wage increased from approximately $120,000 to more than $600,000. The minimum pay exceeded $300,000. This is serious money, transformative money, the kind of figures that veteran players in this league have been pushing for since before Caitlin Clark was in high school. Clark's salary increased from $78,066 in 2025 to $530,000 in 2026, and it was the first number they posted on the board. And suddenly the structure is on fire.
For example, 2024 Rookie of the Year Caitlin Clark, who made $78,066 in 2025, is poised to see her salary jump to $530,000 in 2026. So this year, she is about to jump to that salary, okay? Now, the other jump, the new provision would also be applicable to younger stars such as Aaliyah Boston, who is max eligible in 2026, and Paige Beckers, who is max eligible in 20.
Here's what truly occurred. The WNBA and the Players Association were locked in a 17-month negotiation that everyone in women's basketball anticipated. The former CBA was a relic. It was a structure created for a league striving for relevance, not one that was breaking viewership records, selling out arenas and markets where seats had been empty for years, and producing broadcast rights packages that would have been laughed out of the room 5 years ago. And at the heart of all of that progress, every important measure, every room where executives were suddenly paying attention, was one player.
Why they had the battery in the back that they had was because of Caitlin Clark's impact. All of the numbers and the metrics that the players could point to, do you see these ratings? Well, Caitlin Clark effect. Oh, do you see this attendance? Well, Caitlin Clark effect. Do you see the social media impressions? Well, Caitlin Clark effect. This is called the Caitlin Clark stimulus package, and it will go down as.
So when the new CBA was introduced in March 2026, it had a mechanism that no one wanted to officially name after a single person. They termed it the EPIC provision. Exceptional performance on the first contract, a fast-track salary structure created for athletes who alter the league's financial landscape before their rookie agreement expires. Caitlin Clark's name is not included in the official text of that clause. It did not have to. Everyone in the boardrooms of women's basketball knew exactly who they were building around. The EPIC provision is the WNBA's modest, formal, and written statement that not all players are the same. Some players require separate documentation.
So this WNBA collective bargaining agreement will fast-track the ability for players on a rookie-scale contract to make maximum and supermax salaries, sources told ESPN. The new provision called EPIC, Exceptional Performance on Initial Contract, allows players to renegotiate their 4-year salary and earn the standard max that year if they were previously an all-WNBA first team or second team, or the Supermax if they won in the...
Let's put the numbers on the table since they are the only thing that tells this narrative truthfully and without sugarcoating the edges. In 2025, Caitlin Clark, the player who propelled the WNBA above 1 million viewers per game for the first time since 2008, and the player who sold out enemy arenas in cities where seats had not been full in a decade. The player whose name appeared on a schedule increased broadcast ratings by more than any other player in the league combined, made $78,066. $78,000. This is roughly what a mid-level paralegal earns. That is roughly how much an entry-level marketing coordinator earns sitting behind a desk in a city that no one visits on vacation. It is not even close to the starting wage of a rookie in the NBA, NFL, or MLB. Meanwhile, Clark was setting assist records, selling jerseys, and introducing cameras to women's basketball that had not been seen in a generation. She was doing things that the league had never seen before. And the league was handing her a payment for less than 2 months' rent on a good apartment in Indianapolis. That's not a salary. That's a league hoping its most valuable asset doesn't do the math. She completed the math. The entire sporting community did the math. And the new CBA is the league's formal, public, long overdue admission that they have no choice but to do the same.
What has now happened is, because of the quote-unquote EPIC rule, I'm going to call it the Caitlin rule, because let's be real, she was the first person to have reached this. Whether it be it's Caitlin, Aaliyah, and Paige are all eligible. I'm just going to call it the Caitlin rule. Just like the Rose rule in the NBA, we're going to call it the Caitlin rule. So, ironically, if Caitlin goes and wins MVP this year, she's actually eligible for the Supermax in 2020.
Now, in 2026, things shift. Clark's pay rises to $530,000, more than 500%. She earned more than 6 times her previous season's salary. Pause before anybody starts thanking the league for finally getting it right. Because $530,000 is still the best team sports discount in the modern age, and it isn't even close. While the WNBA paid her $78,000, Clark earned a total of $16.1 million in 2025 alone. Salary, endorsements, appearances, speaking fees, commercial deals, the entire empire. Nike, State Farm, Gatorade, Wilson, and HY. She is the 6th highest paid female athlete in the world. In 2025, at the peak of her earning potential, the WNBA's payout to her accounted for less than 0.5% of her overall revenue. The league was receiving franchise-level services at a price that no business school professor could justify without appearing visibly uncomfortable. The spike to $530,000 is real. It's welcome. It is merited tenfold, and it still does not reflect Clark's true value to every broadcast network, sponsor, and stadium that sells out the instant her name comes on the away calendar. The rise is not fair. It's the least the league could do to avoid exposing itself more.
The way the team is structured, in order for this team to remain intact, Sophie would have to be willing to take a league minimum kind of deal, which is around $300,000. And I don't see that happening. Okay, and I believe also people are going to be shocked how much money Lexi Hull is about to be offered, because I think she's going to get offered $600,000 to $700,000 by somebody, and that is going to greatly complicate things.
However, this is where the story transitions from a celebration to a chess dilemma. Because Clark's pay increases from $78,000 to $530,000, the money does not fall from the sky. It stems from a salary cap. The WNBA's new salary cap is set at $7 million. That is the Indiana Fever's full salary budget for building a competitive basketball squad. Not just Clark, but everyone. Every player, from the starting lineup to the end of the bench, must fit under the $7 million budget, and Clark now accounts for more than 7% of that quota on her current contract alone, before any extensions, max agreements, or off-season decisions that will determine what type of roster Indiana can feasibly build around her. There is a term for what happens to a salary cap when your franchise star is finally adequately compensated, yet 3 other cornerstone players are also due extensions in the same window. The word is squeeze, and the Fever is about to feel it all.
I wish they would have had Kelsey Mitchell on here, because after last season, I mean, look, Kelsey finished what, 3rd or 4th in the MVP voting? This is her contract to make as much money as she possibly can, I believe, in this league. And come next year, because I don't think that the Fever are going to be able to keep her next season. And one could argue, depending on how much you covet depth on a team, like how deep do you want your team to be? I think one could argue against re-signing Kelsey Mitchell this year.
Let's discuss about Kelsey Mitchell, because she is the topic that the national media consistently undervalues. She is one of the most dangerous scoring guards in the league. She is the Indiana Fever's second-best player, and she is at a contract crossroads that the new CBA has made substantially more expensive to negotiate. Mitchell was a free agent before the 2025 season, and Indiana used the core designation to re-sign her on a 1-year contract under the new CBA. If the Fever core Mitchell again in 2026, which remains their most likely short-term move, her salary will increase to $1.4 million, a supermax contract that is perfectly appropriate for a player of her caliber. IT also represents 20% of Indiana's $7 million salary ceiling for one player who is not Caitlin Clark. At the same time, Aaliyah Boston has reached her maximum eligibility this offseason. Clark, through the EPIC provision, is eligible for a 3-year max deal worth $1.3 million in 2027, with a $1.7 million supermax extension in 2028. Run the numbers slowly. Clark costs $1.3 million. Boston at max Mitchell for a $1.4 million supermax. Just these 3 players account for over half of Indiana's total cap. More than half before they add a backup point guard, fill the forward rotation, or establish any of the depth that distinguishes good teams from championship teams. That is the calculation that the Fever's front office is looking at. That is what a historic salary increase looks like from within a $7 million budget.
I want Kelsey Mitchell to take a 1-year deal instead of a multi-year deal due to this. Aaliyah Boston is eligible for the Supermax this year. The following year, Caitlin Clark is eligible for a Supermax, which could be worth $1.7 million, actually close to $2 million. So who are you going to invest in? Kelsey Mitchell or Caitlin Clark? And that's why I say, don't play this game, Fever. I'm talking to organizations. I'm talking to Amber Cox, Kelly Crosskoff, and definitely Stephanie White. Don't mess this up. Please, for the love of God, do not mess this up. I don't mind if Kelsey Mitchell comes back for 1 year, but 1 year only.
This is a classic small cap squeeze, and it has happened many times in many locations across every major league where a franchise player is worth more than the team's total payroll. You make something electrified. You recognize the core. The star gets the raise she deserves. A raise that is fan-driven, revenue-driven, and supported by every figure on every spreadsheet in the company. Then the arithmetic catches up to the dream. The supporting cast begins to disintegrate since the cap cannot keep everyone at market rates at the same time. Role players are priced out. Depth vanishes. The club that was winning games with 10 excellent contributors and a motivated bench begins to appear thinner as each offseason passes, and another contract decision demands another heartbreaking goodbye. Clark's raise is well-deserved. The cap squeeze is coming. Those two things do not clash. They are the same narrative recounted from 2 distinct perspectives.
tired of the mindset of just be grateful for what you have. No, we need to dive into it. We need to have better workplaces, practice facilities, and it's not just for the women of the league now. We're talking about the women coming up, the future.
Right,
we want them to have a safe space to where they can perform at a high level and get that revenue share and to live on a salary that is what they've earned.
That's livable.
That is livable.
You don't have to go over to Europe, go to other.
And then there's A'ja Wilson, since no serious discussion of money or the WNBA ever gets past her. She has won the MVP award thrice. She's an Olympic gold medalist. She is a WNBA champion. She is one of the most decorated players in the league's history, and her trophy collection proves it. And she's spent the last 2 years watching Clark arrive, completely upend the economics of women's basketball, and collect the kind of commercial deals, national visibility, and financial recognition that Wilson, despite all of her accolades, has never come close to matching off the court when Sportico released their year-end top-paid athlete report in 2025. And Clark appeared at $16.1 million, and Wilson was not even mentioned. The irritation from Wilson's direction was unmistakable. A cryptic social media posts with enough subtext to convey everything without actually saying anything. Interview responses with just enough edge to make every journalist in the room comprehend what was left unsaid. Wilson spent months blogging about delayed success and denied recognition, and everyone who saw those posts knew exactly who they were about. She has long been one of the league's most vocal champions for pay fairness, and now, the new CBA, the accord she and every veteran pushed so hard for, has arrived, with the most prominent headline being a player with only 2 years of professional experience being the highest paid player in league history. That is a truly tough thing to digest with grace.
Wilson clearly hates Caitlin Clark. I mean, clearly. What bothered her the most was the fact that she got this popularity, and she actually said it herself that she felt like history was being erased. Read the magazine. Read the article. She really hates Caitlin Clark. On top of that, the writer, whoever wrote this, hates her too, because she said, yeah, Caitlin Clark brought this toxic fanship, brought the toxicity to the league. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. That's nonsense. That's straight bullshit. This league always has toxicity. Y'all just being exposed. Because there was plenty of players, including Sue Bird, that said there was racism in the league. Sue Bird said it. Okay?
But this is the fact that the league's old guard will have to deal with. And this is the bit that no one wants to speak because it sounds cold, even though it is perfectly factual. The new CBA does not award money based on longevity, loyalty, or how many MVP awards someone has in their living room. It distributes funds based on market impact. The epic provision exists because certain players alter what this league is worth to broadcasters, advertisers, and casual fans who have never seen a WNBA game in their lives. A conventional rookie contract structure was never designed to accommodate such a shift. A'ja Wilson has dominated this league for years. She is legitimate. She is wonderful. She is one of the top players in the game's history, but she has never triggered a media rights contract just by being added to a roster. She has never driven the WNBA to over 1 million viewers on a Tuesday night that began as a mid-tier regular season clash. She has never caused an enemy team's arena to sell out because she was slated to play there. Clark frequently does all of these tasks. This is not a discussion about who plays better basketball. This is a measure of economic impact. And leagues like the WNBA prioritize economic impact over virtually everything else. The old guard created this league. Caitlin Clark is monetizing it. Both of these statements are correct, but only one of them is responsible for writing the new wage schedule.
Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark, speaking from experience, players like me are going to be the ones that I think feel it the most, and that's what I think we're all super proud of, because that's what we set out from the beginning, was making sure every player felt a change in the CBA, and that's exactly what has happened. New York Liberty forward Breanna Stewart, the deal is going to be transformational. It's going to build up and help create a system where everybody's getting exactly what they deserve, and more from on the court and the off court aspects. Just excited that we can tell our fans that we're going to be back.
Here's what the next 3 years look like. Clark makes $530,000 in 2026. The contract remains the most undervalued in professional women's sports. Still a sum that would shame any league that professed to pay its players fairly, but real, official, and signed. She is eligible for a maximum contract worth $1.3 million in 2027. And if everything continues as it has since the night of the 2024 WNBA selection, when 2.4 million people turned in simply to see her selected, effectively announcing to the entire sports world that women's basketball was now a real television event. She agrees to a $1.7 million supermax in 2028, which will dominate every headline the league generates that summer. Each step up the compensation ladder will bring a new wave of noise from every area of the league. Veterans who were underpaid for years. Everyone will witness a player with 2 years of experience earning more on her WNBA deal than most of them have ever seen. Some of those responses will be gracious. The majority of them will not, but they will all be understandable since Clark's increase does not signal benevolence from a league that has finally developed a conscience. It is a legal statement printed in a collective bargaining agreement negotiated over 17 months that one player's presence is more valuable to the league's financial line than the majority of the roster combined.
The Caitlin Clark stimulus package, also known as the newly agreed upon CBA deal. Make no mistake about it, folks. Every time the owners came to the table and said, fine, we'll increase the salary cap to this, you can thank Caitlin Clark. Every time the owner said, fine, we'll pay for your housing again, you can thank Caitlin Clark. Every time the owner said, shoot, we really don't want to come up off this 15% number, but you know what? We'll move a little bit. You can thank CC22. And on the player side, the only reason why
A'ja Wilson might become frustrated. Veterans might object to how the distribution is carried out. Fans can debate what earned means in a sport that is still determining its own worth. All of those conversations are appropriate and deserve to occur. But one issue is no longer debatable. Caitlin Clark's significance to this league is no longer a matter of opinion. This is a line item. It is $530,000 growing toward $1.7 million in a league with a total pay cap of $1.5 million just a year ago. The WNBA, which previously paid its most significant player the wage of a paralegal, has been replaced by one that is now admitting what it has, and it has just gotten a lot more expensive. Everyone else will have to learn to live within that amount or continue seeing it increase without.